Hello. I was like even offbeat there a little. My bones were like, I don't know, man. The new year, I'm feeling like, you know, the Tin Man when he needs a little oil. I feel like I need some of that. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome back. Some exciting things going to happen on this show in the new year, so get ready. Just saying, amp up. Welcome to everyone new who's here for the first time. So what am I going to talk about today? The title of the show today is Feminist Humiliates Her Boyfriend, and he's too much of a simp to realize it. What a video you're about to see. Man, it's stunning what guys will put up with in this day and age. It's like they've been, you know, I say deballed. I'm just going to say it because it is what it is. All right, here's what we're going to talk about today. Why you shouldn't rely on Andrew Tate to tell the truth and why you must do it yourself. Whether you love Tate or not, that's not the point. We're going to bring back an old video that I've played here once before, but it's important that I play it again. And we're going to have a conversation about why you at home need to step up. All of you, everyone, everywhere. Okay, we're going to talk about a boss babe who froze her eggs because she said she will never depend on a man for anything. Ooh, sweet. We'll show some photos, too, of her. It's interesting. We got some music playing here. I guess Deli's having a party on the side here. Who knew? I didn't come prepared. Anyway, it's okay, Deli. It happens to all of us. All right, we will talk about that feminist who humiliates her boyfriend on camera. That is, I tell you, one of the most incredible videos I've ever witnessed because it really displays how like these men have just been completely wrecked that they don't even know how bad it is. We're going to do that. I'm going to do live reaction to a stripper who says she tries to damage men as a hobby, as a pastime. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she lovely? Okay, and Rich Cooper gives advice on how to defeat the Matrix. He doesn't specifically mention the Matrix, but all of his advice falls in line with what I would say to defeat the Matrix, so we're going to talk about that. And our Matrix topic for today is what? It's the World Economic Forum. Shocking. As it turns out, they trained scientists and doctors to manipulate you on TikTok. Who knew? We did. So all of that is coming your way. We're going to start with Andrew Tate because he's in the news a lot. And this isn't about Tate particularly, like specifically. This isn't in reference to the charges or any of that. But there is an important message here. And I played this for you once before. He did an interview with Zuby. And we talked about the pandemic of cowardice a little bit. I want to play this for you again because I got a lot of messages from people related to Tate. And I'll tell you about that as well. And this is kind of my way to respond to everyone at once. So let's play that clip. This is from an interview with Zuby, I want to say within the last couple of months.
And since UKIP ended, I don't even know about his politics nowadays. I don't even know what he's doing. But he says something that was really interesting. He was asked about who runs the world. And I guess the person was trying to set him up for a question about the elites. And he said, truthfully, I'll tell you who runs the world. We do. Because we decide how much of this crap we're going to put up with. The problem is we're putting up with too much of it. The problem is everyone's a coward. And you're right. I get the same thing. Wow, thanks for saying it. Why don't you say it? And everyone is just terrified. And it really is truly crazy because fear has always been the control
So you hear
mechanism.
what he says there. This is a very, very important message. And the reason that I chose to play it again was because we had a whole conversation about it with respect to the pandemic and, you know, the masks and all this and how if people had just said no, if people had just said, I'm not going to tolerate this, I am not going to comply with this, then there's power in numbers. And the things that were enforced just wouldn't have been able to be enforced in the same way. You just can't do it without suppressing an entire population. And then what, are you going to have a revolution on your hands? So it just doesn't work that way. Compliance breeds more tyranny, as we've said. But I got a lot of messages over the weekend. You know, I covered just a little bit of the arrest of the Tate brothers. And a lot of people were writing me saying, because they view Andrew Tate as a leader in many respects, because he has put himself out there front and center talking about masculinity and the need to restore masculinity in a way that not a lot of other people have. You know, he puts a lot of skin in the game. He's not only willing to talk about masculinity and what's happened to men and to be tough on men, but he also gets political. He talks about, you know, the stuff related to Greta Thunberg and climate change. He talks about the agenda of the elites. He talks about COVID. He doesn't, you know, shy away from these topics. And it's really hard to find a figure that has the gonads to do that. And he does, right? Whether you agree with him or not, the guy's got guts. He's out there front and center talking about all this stuff. So people were writing me and saying, well, you know, if he's, you know, jailed, what happens to the message? What happens to the message on masculinity? I got a lot of messages like that. What do you mean? What happens to it? You happen to it. If you can't rely on a figure, never ever rely on a figure, a politician, whoever it may be, to be the sole person who has the guts to convey a message. So you like Andrew Tate's message on masculinity, you spread that message. You have the guts to get out there front and center, and you spread that message. And think about the ripple effect of that. If someone, had a positive influence on you as a guy, you're a guy out there, you've been listening to him. Maybe you got your life together. You got into the gym. You're proud of your masculinity and the testosterone that runs through your veins. You're looking at life with a new vision, and you feel good about yourself. Maybe you got yourself out of a depression, whatever it may be. Spread that message. Spread that message. Don't rely on one figure. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know anything. I don't know the Tates personally. I don't know anything about these specifics of these charges, what they have, what they don't have. But I do know that in many ways, his messaging on masculinity and his willingness to take on the system, the matrix, when it comes to, an experimental vaccine, or it comes to lockdowns, or it comes to climate change, has been very, very powerful and very, very important. And the reality is that Andrew Tate does have a certain charisma and a certain charm about him, which is why he's able to reach so many people. You'd have to be blind, or you'd have to be in denial to not acknowledge that. But there are a lot of other people out there who have that as well, who have charisma, who have charm, who have a microphone, who have an Instagram account, who have a YouTube channel, who have a Twitter account, who you have the ability to reach people as well. And you say, well, I'm not Andrew Tate. Well, maybe you won't be as charismatic. That's just a reality, because he has a high likability factor and the ability to reach people. He also has a lot of people that hate him, which also becomes a good thing in some respects. And you got people loving you, you got people hating you. Your bottom line is you have people talking about you. But not everybody's going to be Andrew Tate. Not everybody's going to have his reach, and not everyone's going to have his influence. But everyone does have some level of influence, and you can't be scared. You can't decide that it's too risky for you to speak out, so you're going to wait for someone else to speak out. It doesn't work that way. And I understand there are obstacles here. I understand that maybe there was a mandate in place and you had to make a decision and you had to go to work and you don't want to lose that job. But think about the ripple effect of that inability or refusal to stand up. Then those mandates get put into place because you don't have entire companies of people walking out and saying, nope, I'm not going to stand for this. We need more people who are willing to say, no, I'm not going to stand for this, or going to stand up for things that are hard to stand up for. In this day and age, it is hard to stand up for masculinity. It is hard to stand up for those things. Why is it hard? Because you have a whole media establishment against you. And they will try to cancel you for that message. Because as I've said, that big government philosophy cannot achieve its success by their standards anyway. And by success, they mean, destroying everyone's freedom and controlling you with some, rampant authoritarianism. They can't achieve that without weak men. So the message of masculinity is under attack. It does take a certain degree of strength to be able to say, I'm going to say this no matter what. You need to have it. You out there listening. So I don't want to get messages that say, well, what if Andrew Tate, or what if Rollo Tomassi, or what if... It's great. They have powerful microphones. They have done, an enormous service by being bold and gutsy in their opinions and putting them front and center. But you can't then take a cop out and say, well, I'm going to sit this one out, or it's too dangerous or too scary for me to speak out. You need to speak your mind. That is how you empower a free society. A bunch of people with guts speaking their mind and not living in fear of the state or the government or the World Economic Forum or getting canceled. Speak your mind. Okay? So if you learn anything from him, if you support his message, speak your mind. That's the way you pay service to somebody who had the guts to do it before, a lot of other people did. You continue that message and you continue that strength to say your piece. Again, I don't know what's going to happen here. I really don't. I don't have any inside information on the charges or anything like that. What I do know is that he's done a lot of good for men. And if you believe that, it's your job to pass that message along. Don't be a coward. Do not be a coward, ever. All right. Now we're going to dig into the rest of the show. I had to get that off my chest. I got too many messages like, what, Andrew Tate said? What does that mean? Oh, man. Okay. I love y'all. By the way, Deli is here. Get in that chat. I want to see those super chats. I want to see those comments. I want you to share them. We're going to answer your questions. All of that's happening today. Let's talk about a 37-year-old boss babe. We're going to show the photos too. Just saying. Something might be going wrong. Just wait for it. 37-year-old boss babe freezes her eggs, says she will never depend on a man. There she is. Okay, there she is. We got more photos coming, don't you worry. This is from the New York Post, but it was interesting. It was like everywhere. Like when you put the title of this in to Google, there were like a million articles. A lot of the Murdoch outlets seemed to just, it was like Daily Mail everywhere. This story. There's a lot of women that freeze their eggs. Why did this one make headlines? Well, let's see. We're going to read through some of this together. This career-driven feminist has frozen her eggs so she can have a baby on her own terms, it says, saying she doesn't need a man to make all of her dreams come true. She's 37 years old. She's a real estate magnate. She's been featured in Forbes. She says she's never depended on a man for anything. She spent the last 2 decades focusing on her work, meaning marriage and babies were not a priority. We're going to read through some of this together. It's important. She recently realized that most of her friends were married and having children, and her desire to become a mom was awakened too. Now, this is what she says. I guess my mantra has always been female empowerment and women succeeding in business. Maybe that's why I'm 37, not married and settled, because I focused all my time on getting myself established. So at least there's some degree of self-awareness there, right? I was like, oh, maybe this is headed in a good direction. She recognizes, not so much. During the pandemic, and this is something that happened a lot during the pandemic. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what happened to women during the pandemic. During the pandemic, she recalled thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm in my late 30s. So I was so focused on being successful and independent that it never dawned on me that the biological clock is ticking. Why didn't it dawn on you, doll? Because you ate all the talking points. Because someone told you that, oh, there's plenty of time, honey. Don't worry about it. Focus on your career. Don't worry. You got all the time in the world. And then suddenly you woke up in the midst of the pandemic alone, quarantined in your house, and you were looking around like, my real estate job isn't there to keep me warm at night. What did I do wrong? That's what happened. She says, like many other women, she froze her eggs during the pandemic and now has the ambitious aim of getting pregnant by 39 with or without a partner in her life. Okay? She's doing this with or without a man. So let's just break that down before I continue. She froze her eggs during the pandemic. You can click on articles and you can go through and find this. There's one actually that links from this article in the New York Post of all of these women during the pandemic who panicked and froze their eggs. Now, some of that is because some of them panicked because of the coronavirus. And they thought somehow the coronavirus was going to compromise their fertility. They weren't sure what was going on there. Some of them panicked after the vaccine because they thought their fertility was going to be compromised by the vaccine. But some of them panicked because they were alone. There they were sitting in their house and everyone around them had, a family, kids, all that stuff. And sorry, I don't want to cough in your face. So sometimes you got to take the water. Everyone around them had somebody there. And they were sitting there all by themselves, all alone. And they started to have time to think about what the next 5 years were going to look like, what the next 10 years were going to look like, what the next 15 years were going to look like. And they were like, oh my gosh, how did I get to 37? What did I do wrong? It happened a lot. And think about it. If you were holed up during the pandemic in your house and you had your kids and you had, grandma and grandpa and you had your husband, for a while you were just hanging tight. You were like, I'm all right, right? You were good. You went outside. You did this and that. But think about that. Woman, 37, spent her whole life focused on career. Pandemic hits. She's alone in that house. A lot of time to think. A lot of them ran and froze their eggs. Okay, panicked. They didn't know how long it was going to go on. Think about it. Pandemic lasts 2 years and you're 39. All of a sudden, all the panic set in. What I'm here to do is try to get women to wake up before the panic sets in. Wake up before that panic. Okay, before there's some pandemic, God knows what's coming our way from the WEF. But, wake up and realize that you don't have all the time in the world. It's just a biological reality. You don't have all the time in the world. And if you spend all that time on your career, you very well may wake up one day and feel alone and panicked and anxiety-ridden and looking back on your past and say, what have I been doing for all this time? Because that career is not, I promise you, ladies, that career is not going to keep you warm at night, especially when all your friends have kids, when all your friends have their families, their husbands, everything's intact, and you're sitting there by yourself. You're going to be miserable. Okay, let's keep reading. Although she would prefer for her child to have a great father, the businesswoman says she has never been constrained by convention and is not opposed to being a single mama. I was never one of those girls who couldn't wait to get married, settle down, and have kids, she said. I stray from the societal norms they place on us and would rather have a loyal, healthy partnership. I couldn't wait to get my career established. I couldn't wait to have my own company. That was my driving force. She believes her background played a big role, and it goes on and on and on. And she does acknowledge that she was on autopilot for a while. Now, again, though, the way they talk about men, she goes on to say, too, that, you know, she won't have a problem paying for everything because she's got all this money. So the implication there is, well, I'll be fine if I don't have a man. I'll be able to pay for everything. I'm this real estate mogul. I have all the money in the world. Again, this reduces men to a wallet again. It reduces them to, oh, well, if I don't need a guy for the cash, I don't need him at all. You may want to think about what happens when you bring a child into the world and that child doesn't have a father. We have talked on this show time and again about the statistics when it comes to fatherless homes. That is not something to strive for. Now, is that something that happens in, you know, horrific circumstances? I mean, you have bad circumstances where a father will pass away. You know, you have unfortunate circumstances where a woman will be, let's say a woman is left, you know, a man falls into drugs, alcohol, whatever it may be. These things do happen. It's sad, it's unfortunate. In those positions, those women make the best of those circumstances that they can oftentimes. But you don't strive for a fatherless home. Can you imagine sitting there and saying, well, I have a lot of money now. I prioritize my career. I froze my eggs. And I don't need a man because I don't need it for the money. And now you bring a child into this world who doesn't have a father figure in the home, and somehow you think that that kid's not missing something? That's ignorant. And not to mention also a little bit selfish. A little bit selfish. You did your thing. You went through your life. You prioritized you, me. Now you want to have a kid. You waited a long time. You've deprioritized men. You know, you're pushing your I don't need a man, which probably repels a lot of guys, and that kid doesn't get to have a father in the home because you don't deem it important, because you don't need his wallet, and hence you think that he will have minimal positive effect. Not good. Not a good dynamic to bring a child up in, and very selfish. So again, the reason I brought this up is because there's so many women who, what happens is, you know, they hit this age and they get defensive about the choices that they've made. It's hard to get to a certain point and sit back and say, did I do something wrong here? Or could I have done something better? Did I make the best decisions? Did I miss something? It's very hard to do that for everyone. Self-reflection is not easy. Admission of wrong is not easy. It's much easier for these people to justify it, get to that point to, oh, yeah, I did everything right. Now I got all this money. Who cares? I don't need a man. Take to the grave, you know, blah, 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 blah. Also, let me just say, can we pull up, Deli? Can you just pull up that article again? I just want to show the girl. By the way, this is not to be petty. This is not to be petty, but something's going on here with this girl because she is cartoonish in many respects. And you can scroll down the lips, you know, there's a lot of surgery. There's a lot of surgery that's gone on here. Now, I'm not going to judge anyone in the sense of you could do whatever you want. I'm a freedom lover. You get all the surgery you want. You could do all this and that. But are we to accept that she dresses like this for herself? No. She's been trying to attract male attention for a really long time. You don't do all this, all the surgeries, all dressing up, half naked, going out. I know there's people that say, no, I got it for myself. Yeah, okay, honey. Sure you did. She's been trying to attract male attention for a very long time. Something's wrong here. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what's going on, but it does feel a little bit like she got to a certain age and this child feels like it's going to be an ornament in her life in some way. It just doesn't feel like an authentic, I want to start a family. It's very like, oh, this is something I haven't done. I need to add this to my checklist. Check. And there's something that's not authentic about this whole story because you can't tell me that this woman, you just can't. You can't tell me this woman hasn't been trying to attract men. Of course she has. You can't tell me that this woman is authentic in her I don't need a man. If you don't need a man, why are you trying to attract men so hard? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, the whole thing. And also, there's something going on. All I'm going to say is if you're doing the cartoonish stuff, you know, the lips, the fish lips, and everything is just being blown up, you know, filled and like to the point where it looks like you could pop everything, you know, like a balloon. I mean, something's just going on there is all I'm going to say. Do what you want. I don't care if you transform yourself into a cat, you know, with plastic surgery, but let's all just acknowledge that something's off there if that's happening. Something's just a little off about this story is all I'm saying. There's a lot of women out there like this. Okay, let's move on. I need to get to the feminist who humiliates her boyfriend. I couldn't believe this video. I actually thought it was parody at first. I was like, this can't be real, this guy. It's too good. I'm going to stop and go through this. This is number 3, Deli. We're going to start at the start. I will stop and go because it's just too much. Let's do it.
Say hi, welcome to Feminist Fridays, a series where we explore the social, the political, and the media from a feminist and intersectional perspective.
Guess who's not going to remember any of that?
Try it. No, try it.
Let me see. Hi, welcome to Feminist Fridays, a show on the internet where we explore feminism through
Okay, pause for a
media
second. Okay, so right from the bat, you want to pray for this guy, right? You're like, good God, somebody get him out of there. Somebody, is there like a help sign that he's etched in the wall behind him that we can't see? No joke. So she has him, this is her show, and she has him on to kind of poke fun. Right off the bat, can you repeat after me? She says, like he's a little baby. Repeat after me, and he's got to repeat it. He does too. He repeats it, and then notice her expressions as he's saying it. She's like, nope, you got it wrong. Almost all right from the start, you're like, she's like mothering him in a weird, creepy kind of way. Like, is he your boyfriend or your preschool student, honey? Hard to tell. All right, let's keep going. By the way, we're going to get to the chat after this, so get ready.
something else and something with the word perspective in it.
Close enough. And use a lot of F words. Today, we're bringing a boy onto Feminist Fridays, something that is very unfeminist.
Mm-hmm.
So, David, you are a boy.
It's true.
And you are dating a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like dating me / a feminist?
In regards to what?
Just everything.
In what aspect?
All of them.
Be cool.
That's not very rave reviews. I don't like this already. Would you describe our relationship as matriarchal or patriarchal? It's a trick question.
It's a trick question?
It's a trick question.
Why?
Because.
Because of equality.
Yes.
Oh my god.
You got it, you got it!
I mean, is
It's
this, okay,
neither.
pause. Is this not the weirdest, most uncomfortable dynamic between man and woman? I mean, this guy is beyond simp. Whatever simp is, this guy's like gone well beyond that. And the reality is he doesn't know it. He's being humiliated in front of everybody, and he has no idea, because this is how he lives with this girl. This is their daily life. He goes home, and this is how they interact. I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's beyond. I'm surprised they acknowledge, by the way, that he's a boy. Oh, the nerve. You might upset someone. You know you can't define somebody biologically in 2022. Surprised they said that. Right off the bat, though, you see the dynamic. You know, the gig. It's parental. It's borderline parental. All right, let's continue.
Has there ever been a time where you have feared for your life around me?
Oh.
You weren't supposed to have an answer. I'm scary. I'm a feminist.
He is the scariest feminist I know.
Good.
Okay,
What
pause
are
that.
the
So,
struggles?
have you been afraid? Why would you ask that question to a man? Have you ever been afraid around me? How lame. How unbelievably lame. Imagine asking that and a guy has to sit and listen to that. Oh, yeah, you're the scariest feminist I know. And then she's like, good. I mean, it's uncomfortable to watch him. It's uncomfortable as a female. Like, I mean, oof, brutal. But that's the dynamic that she wants. Know that. So these feminists want men to be afraid of them. They want men to walk around the house on eggshells. They want men to live in fear. We've talked about how you can't upset the queen. And they want men to be afraid to assert their masculinity, to assert any form of dominance, to assert any form of authority whatsoever, to assert even what they'd like their own afternoon to look like if, heaven forbid, that afternoon interferes with the plans of the queen. So this is the dynamic that's desired. You know, the guy that's passive, she's making fun of him. We all laugh. Ha ha, what an idiot. And she wants the audience to look at that and say, oh, she's the smart one. Thank God he has her, or he'd be lost. This guy would just be wandering in the woods without her. Thank God for women. That's the talking point, right? The idiot guy, I'm afraid of you, lame. If you're a grown man and you're willing to say, even in jest, oh yeah, I'm afraid of you. You're a scary feminist to your girlfriend, honey, just pack your stuff up, exit the room with some dignity, go do something to, I don't know, get your testosterone in check. Go for a workout. Do something for the love of God, please. Holy Mother of Earth. So then he says, she asks, is it matriarchal or patriarchal? She's like, and she gives him a hint. It's a trick question. Because she wants him to say, it's neither, love, because equality in our house. I'd be curious to ask her how deep the equality goes. Again, I don't know anything about their relationships. Maybe it goes full on deep. I don't know. But who pays for stuff? Who opens the doors? I don't know. I love when these women say equality, equality. And then they wait for you to open the door for them. Or the check comes and they're just like, You hear those little sounds of birds chirping because they're just waiting. Equality, equality. But not then. Not when the check comes in the restaurant. No. Unreal. Okay, so let's keep playing.
Of dating a feminist.
The struggles would be when you guys leave rude comments and she reads them all day long, nonstop, out loud, so everyone can hear. People call her a and a slut and a and so these words are just constantly streaming through the house.
Dumb whore.
Yeah. You'll bleep those, right?
Odd reaction, too. Somebody
said
she uses the word dumb whore. She says it, her own words. Then she's like, yes, like badge of honor. Somebody call me that. Weird. There's a creepiness about it, isn't it? And also notice that he says she's reading the comments. I'm surprised she left this in the video, honestly. She's reading the comments and all day she's obsessed with the comments, right? Like, oh, and just saying it throughout the house. Weird. There's a weirdness about this. Creepy. Are you creeped out at home or is it just me? Please, in the chat, tell me. Something just very creepy about this video. Okay, let's keep going.
Dating a feminist is very demanding.
Yes.
And that wasn't a question.
Right.
It was more of a statement.
Mm-hmm.
So, next question.
Look at that.
Okay, are there
dating
any
a feminist,
expectations I have?
She says dating feminist is very demanding. And then he's like, She's like, that was a statement, not a question. Next. Who's in control of the power dynamic in this situation? He's just sitting there like, he lost, really. Like, okay, let me just do the video. She sat him down. You know how this went. She sat him down. She's like, you're going to do this video with me. I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. You're going to have some answers. We're going to laugh at you. And you're just going to be pleasant. Don't ruin it for me or I'm going to have to redo it and then I'll be really mad. You know how that went down behind the scenes. You know it. Can you imagine? Dating a feminist is challenging, is hard. Why? What? Unbelievable. Okay, keep going. It's demanding.
For you as a feminist that you think are difficult to meet.
The thing is, I feel like the feminism, it doesn't come up.
The feminism just doesn't come up.
It doesn't come up a lot in our relationship, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think so?
I think because I'm not an asshole.
No, honey. No, honey. The feminism doesn't come up in your relationship because she runs the house. Because Gloria Steinem is running your house and you're sitting there all simpy, looking around, laughing. So you only speak when spoken to, right? You're only allowed to laugh when she says it's okay to laugh. You had to sit and do this degrading video. You don't even know how ridiculous and embarrassed you should be. Can you imagine being a guy out there and you sit down, you got a feminist next to you as your girlfriend. She humiliates you the whole time and you are a willing participant because you are so brainwashed by modern society that you don't even know how dumb you look to guys who actually have some shred of masculinity left out there. They are all laughing at you. They're all like, oof, this guy. I don't know what to do. Like, I want to pick up a phone and call these people and be like, dude, get out of that house. Have you no dignity left? I would rather go bungee jumping with a slightly compromised rope than deal with that woman. I'm not exaggerating. This is insanity. But you can't feel sorry. This is what I'm saying. You can't feel sorry for these guys. I don't feel sorry for these guys that get walked all over by women because you don't have enough guts to speak up. You don't have enough guts to say, I'm not going to sit in this video with you laughing and pointing and making jokes at my expense. I'm not doing that. You want to do a video? We'll do a normal video. And these are the terms that I'm willing to do the video on. And don't be acting like that. What is going on out there? Don't feel sorry for guys who put up with this. You can't. It's like the friend who calls you and complains 50 times. Oh, I'm dating some guy and, he's sleeping around on me. Did he sleep around on you the last time? Yeah. Okay. He was going to do it again. Complain. These people that wind up complain about the same thing over and over again, but they do nothing. I can't. I got to shut the phone at some point. It's too much. So you can't. These guys that are like, listen, you're making your own bed, honey. Everybody on the internet's laughing at you, including, by the way, all the people that she posted this to, because her audience is probably like, yeah, girl power. Yeah, what a dumb guy. Ha ha. Ultimately, craziness. Okay, let's go to the chat. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Deli was ready.
Yep, we have about 3 super chats,
Okay.
I believe. Let's see.
do that.
The first one is from MDCT. He said, just simping, but I'm just kidding. Thanks for doing a great show. Then we actually have a $50 from
Cool.
Zentinance. Try my best to say her name. But the modern woman lacks introspection and understanding that they don't see egg freezing and having the man pay for IVF reeks of her control over his desires and his wallet, while oppressing said man into a simp dom as she dictates when, where, how much of her pregnancy is.
That's an interesting word to use, introspection, because that is true. It's very, you have a lot of modern women that just, they self-reflection, introspection, that step is missed somehow. I'm not saying all, because there are some that, you know, come to some realization and they're like, oh, wait, what was I doing? But there's too many of them that are like, they're in the head of like, I'm never wrong. It's not me, it's you, over and over and over again. Like it can't possibly be them in any way. And as a result, they don't self-reflect. There's no introspection there whatsoever at all, because they don't want to change, because they've been told by the modern world that they're never wrong. They've been told that masculinity is toxic. So if you have that message being preached down, masculinity is toxic, then every time a guy tries to assert himself in any respect in a home, wherever it may be, you have women saying, you know, you're disrespecting me. You have women immediately defensive and saying, well, I'm not wrong. Look how you're treating me. So the guy is trapped. He can never even assert himself. Even if he's done nothing wrong in a situation, he's always got to, you hear about these guys that they apologize when they're not wrong all the time. These guys will say to me, oh, stories, some of the stories I get sent to me, unbelievable. But they'll say, oh, when I have a fight with my girlfriend, I just apologize because it's easier. It's easier to apologize, and then I get out of it. I just want it to end. And I'll say sometimes, like, well, what did you do? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything. Now, of course, I'm hearing one side of the story, but there are instances where I do know of that guys will apologize when they haven't done anything wrong. They just want the fight to end. And I'm like, but what? Do you have no self-respect? Why can't you just say, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to give you some space. I'm getting out of here, and you're going to get over it, or you're not. But I didn't do anything here. And I'm not saying don't apologize when you do something wrong. Of course, when you do something wrong, you apologize. But there's just a lot of it's a lot of mind games going on in houses. Okay, Deli.
Yeah, and we have one more from Brandon M. He said his posture and mannerisms tells you everything.
Yeah, he was all sunken in the seat. You ever see these guys? They're like, there's an interview. And there's like a woman and there's her boyfriend. And the woman's all like, right? Fine. And the guy's sitting next to her like this. Those are the videos I watch because I need to study the human behavior and what has gone so terribly wrong. And these guys, they start off and they're sunk. They're like, okay, let me just get through this. Let me give her what she wants and I'll be out sooner. And there's just no posture. There's no like, I'm here too. Hello. There's no pushback. There's no like, did you really just say that about me? I mean, I just don't understand. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Where have all the cowboys gone? And I'm going to say it 500 times until somebody tells me where they went. Just questioning. Deli, we have more?
We actually just got one more from Momo. She said, doing my makeup and watching Jedediah. Great way to start the day. I love your show.
Ah, putting that makeup on. Oh, yeah. Getting spicy. Hitting the town. I know how it is. Just saying. Okay. All right. Let's go to now we have a stripper. Oh, yes. We have a stripper. And she says that she tries to damage men as a hobby. I don't know if you remember her. This is from the Whatever podcast. I think her name is Hensley. She's been on before. She's been highlighted before. She's a stripper, dancer, whatever you want to call her. And she likes the mind games. But this was a particularly incredible monologue that she gave. So let's play it. I'll respond at the end. Let's go to 9:18 from Whatever.
Okay, what happened? I mean, the whole time I was seeing him, I was kind of just using it as a psychology experiment, and I didn't really like the guy. I more just wanted to see if I could break his heart.
Yikes.
And it was fun.
So did you break his heart then?
Just a wee bit.
By the way, Hensley, did you fully disclose did you say you were a dancer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did he meet you at the club? At the dance club?
No, he was actually a go-go dancer.
Oh, right.
At a club.
And you met him at the Shitty Kitty, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you thoroughly destroyed him. You've ruined him for other women, is what you're saying.
No, I mean, I think he was like kind of a diagnosable narcissist, so it was more of just like a head game. I think he's much too conceited to be in full heartbreak, but I hope I did a little damage.
Wow. Okay. Why do you hope that you did a little damage?
Just, I like humbling men.
You like humbling men?
Yeah. It's like my pastime.
It's her
Your
hobby,
pastime is humbling
y'all.
men.
It's her hobby. It's her hobby. Now, if you think this sounds extreme, you might be sitting there saying, whoa. It happens all the time. There are women like this all the time because you have to understand, they believe that for a very long time, women were subjugated. And they believe that for a very long time, there was like a slavery that existed in these homes where women were stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home wives. And they've been told that it's their turn now. It's their turn to get revenge. And what they've decided to do is get revenge on guys by humiliating, embarrassing, using them. Oh, I'm going to be promiscuous. I'm going to sleep with a whole bunch of men and I'm not going to care about them. I'm going to treat them like garbage. I'm going to humble them. I'm going to make Gloria Steinem proud. They say that, She also goes on to say, by the way, that she's in the strip club. And he asks her, he says, does that also humble men? And she's like, well, that's a little bit different. I just take their money. And so I have to ask you guys, number one, why do you let pretty women get away with murder all the time? Why? Is it like just you see something sparkly in front of you and it's like hypnosis? You're just like, oh, is it like the lights on a Christmas tree? You're somewhat hypnotized. Why do attractive women get away with so much stuff? So much, oftentimes I see rudeness. I see, using men like a wallet. I see just nastiness. I see them saying to your face that you're not that important. I see them saying, well, I'm going to go out with the girls tonight. You're not invited, getting all dressed up half naked. And you just take it because that attractive woman just hypnotizes you. Can I just tell you, it's not worth it. You need to have some standards. And just because a woman is attractive doesn't mean that she gets to walk all over you. You become less and less attractive to her because you put up with that. If you asserted yourself, maybe she'd start to respect you and the dynamic might change a little bit. Maybe. But why do you do that? And why do you go and spend your money at the strip club, giving it to women who sit and openly say, whether it's the strip club or OnlyFans, oh yeah, I'd take them for their money. Ha ha. It's a big joke. Ha ha ha. Spend that money on yourself. I honestly, go get a gym membership. Go, buy some grass-fed beef. I don't know. I just bought a lot of jerky. It's on the mind. What can I say? Go invest in a home. Something. Why are you wasting money on people who don't value or appreciate you and are out there saying, I am just taking his money? Is your self-esteem that low? Fix it. I don't care what you have to do. Fix it. It's embarrassing. We can't have in society men acting like this. We cannot have men that are walked all over, doormats, who see a pretty girl and it's sparkly and they're just, no. I cannot stomach a society filled with weak men because it's dangerous. It's really dangerous. Men need to protect women and children in society. Men need to protect themselves. They need to protect women. They need to protect children. They need to be able to stand firm against authoritarianism, strong men. We need you strong. So if you're weak, it threatens us all. So I don't have patience for it anymore. I don't have patience for it. You can do better. And sometimes I think, I was watching this video the other day from, it was one of the Belmars. You guys know Luke Belmar? I can't remember which one it was. And they were talking about, it's the really fit one. Ugh. My husband loves their stuff. He's probably like whispering in my ear somewhere. He's like, it's this. Anyway, I watched this video and he was saying something about he was critiquing a video of a guy, and the guy was saying, oh, life's too short to exercise. You know, the guy's overweight, clearly looked like he had been through the junk food the night before. He's like, yeah, life's too short to exercise. I got too much stuff I want to do, you know. And one of the Belmars responded and said, you know, how sad for a guy to go through life and not know what he's physically capable of. The male form at its peak is so impressive. It's like a machine. Right? You look at a guy who really exercises, works out, eats right, takes pride in his body. It's a machine, and I admire it deeply because that's like a weapon against the bad guys, right? A guy who's fit and in shape makes me feel safe, right? Makes me feel safe. The more of you out there in the world, which is what I always say about firearms as well, if good people, you know, can exercise their Second Amendment rights and have a gun, they've, you know, they're not criminals. That makes me feel safer. When I look around, and I was at the beach this weekend. I'm gonna just take a little break from this for a second and just tell you I was at the beach this weekend, and I looked around. And my husband said something very important to me. He said, "Does this look like a society that would be ready for war if it had to happen?" And I looked around, and it just hit me so hard because you look around. What do you see? You see obese people. Obesity is rampant. You see the junk food, empty bags of junk food. You see a bunch of people sedated by weed. You could smell it in the air, vaping. You know, you could see the alcohol out. Most of them are sloppy from the night before. I saw a group that was just sloppy. It's like they started drinking on New Year's Eve and it just went on and on and on. You could see, you know, or Christmas Eve, whatever it was. And you look around and you're like, these men couldn't run from one end of the beach to the other if their life depended on it. 99% of them. That's scary. That is scary. Very scary. So this wake up to men needs to happen today. Today. Because everyone's vulnerable when you're vulnerable. We need you strong. I want guys strong and tough and able to say, when some of these mandates and this stuff comes down the pike, I want to be surrounded by guys that say, no, it's not happening. Next. And let them look the part and let them be able to act the part and let them be able to defend and protect. I mean, I just don't understand what's going on here, man. I don't understand what's going on with these guys. So, and you ask yourself, do we have more on that clip or did I play it all? Can you play the end of it, Deli, on the, do you still have that up?
Yeah.
Number 4, play the end of it. Let me just see if there's more I wanted to get to.
At the Spearmint Rhino, so.
Yeah.
I mean, at a strip club, so.
Yeah, no.
Do you humble men there?
No, I take their money.
There it is.
That's kind of humbling them in a way.
No, I wouldn't say so. Or at least it's a different way of humbling.
Yeah. And you
I don't
see her
know.
attitude. She's just like, you know, she's proud of what she's doing. So I don't know what needs to happen to you guys out there. And by the way, women also. Women who have lived their life with dignity and respect and are fueled by morals. You look at these women and you're like, what a horrible representation of womanhood. Horrible. It's disgusting, actually. It's disgusting because women who really go through their life grounded in principles value men. We value strong, healthy, powerful, robust men. And to see women out there who are saying now, because they ate some nonsensical feminist talking points, that it's their job to humble men, and that essentially being abusive emotionally toward men is something that should be met with like a badge of honor. That's despicable. So yeah, men wake up and realize there are women out there. There's a lot of them. Don't allow yourself to be played. And women, stand up against this. This is a horrible representation of womanhood. Don't be afraid to criticize badly behaved women because someone will call you a pick-me. That's called having principles. Have your principles. Say your piece. You've lived your life with dignity. It's horrible to see these women behave as they're behaving. It's like, God. Okay. I think I've said my piece on that one. Deli's like, I think you got it all in, Jen. All right, Rich Cooper. By the way, do you guys think I should ask Rich Cooper to come on the show in the chat? I'm going to talk to you a lot in the chat, like you can answer me, because you can. Would you like to see Rich Cooper on the show? I don't know if he'd come on. He triggered the heck out of me when I first got into this space. I was like, who is this guy? I was all like, I don't know, man. He's got some good content. I've come around to it. I would love to have him on and talk about that, how he triggered me, and then talk about some of the content that I like. But I love this one. And I originally had this at the top of the show, but then I realized this is actually a Matrix topic, even though he may not realize it's a Matrix topic, or maybe he does. He also has the best tweets. You should follow him on Twitter. Fantastic tweets. Truly. All right. So let's play this. It's a short. It's advice to men. Some of the best advice I've heard. You've heard me say some of this here, but this is also advice as to how to escape the Matrix. Let's play it.
If you're going to have a family and you want to have kids, find the right gal, make sure you vetted her properly. I would get the hell out of an urban city center, especially like the left-leaning liberal ones. Get out in the damn country, grow as much of your food as you can, keep that woke crap away from your kids, homeschool as long as you can. People say, well, homeschool kids are weird. No, kids that go to the public system are a lot weirder. The grim reality of the situation is if you're going to have a family and you want to have kids, find the right gal.
There you go. Okay. I could listen to it on repeat. I'm like, play it again. Play it for the people in the back, and I'm always saying this. I keep talking about the cities, and I know people say, well, now with social media, everybody's everywhere. Not the same. Not the same as what's actually in your eyesight and where you actually grow up, because there are different sets of values in the country, I'm telling you. So you grow up with those values, and even though you have the phone in your hand and you have access to Miami and New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, you're not in it in the same way. You've got a foundation that came from the country values that makes you able to withstand some of that a little bit. I'm not saying every time, but some of the time at least. So what he's saying is true. And people, by the way, I'm on Connect, remember. You can go over to Connect and you can ask me a personal question. Some people don't like to put their personal questions in the chat. I get it. But they go to Connect and they send me a personal question about their own lives or whatnot. And I do a phone call with you. I call you, we FaceTime, and we talk it through. We can also text it through, whatever. Connect is an app that PBT created. It's pretty cool. So go over there if you want to have, a personal question answer that you don't want to put in the chat for whatever reason. But people will ask me, they'll say, what is your advice? And top of my list, first question I ask is, where do you live? And if it's in a woke city, get out, man. Get out. Oh, but my family's here. This was what I did wrong, that if I had to correct, I would have gotten out of New York City earlier, because it wasn't for me. It was not for me. It was not a place. It was going to be really hard for me to meet a man in New York City. I got very lucky, but I spent a lot of time just kind of not dating, not wanting to be out there, because I felt like the kind of guys and the kind of culture and the expectations in that culture, I just wasn't going to succumb to that stuff. And it was challenging. If I had picked up and went to a small town, I think it would have been different. So I tell people I got lucky, but if you're in that stage of life now where you have that option to pick up, oh man, pick up. Go to that town. Go to that small town where those small town values still live and breathe and grow. What he's talking about here with respect to the Matrix, though, is very important, because he's talking about homeschooling. And something they always did say, I always heard that. Did you hear that talking point all the time where it was like homeschool kids are weird? Yeah, you know where that came from? The public school system. That's where that talking point came from. Because the public school system wants to control your kids. They want you to release your kids in the morning and your kids get indoctrinated all day long. And then when you get your kid back home at night, your kid suddenly has a different perspective. Maybe they got lectured about, trans this and that. Maybe they got lectured about, the vaccine. Maybe they got lectured about whatever. And now they come home and you're like, is this still my kid? What is going on? Because it's a lot of hours in a day that a child spends at school. And not everybody has the luxury of sending their kid to a private, expensive school or Catholic school or whatever it may be. That costs money. So people are like, what do I do? There's a lot of things you can do in the name of homeschooling. And by the way, people say, well, I can't afford it. There's always a way. There is always a way, because when you move to that smaller town and you get out of the city, guess what goes down? Your expenses as well. You're not paying that massive rent. So now there's more room for other things. I'm telling you, there's things that if you want your life to look different, make it look different. Just make a decision. Don't say it's too hard. I can't make it happen. Stop putting up all the obstacles and instead say, I'm going to make it look different. End of story. Here's the path. And do it. And do it. So what he's talking about, grow your own food, this would have sounded crazy to me 15 years ago. But when you see all the supply chain issues coming down the pike, when you see the grocery store filled with, I don't know, if there's 10 aisles, 9 of them are garbage, poison food. When you see the people that are going to be able to sustain themselves against the matrix, who is that? It's that guy sitting in, Montana or wherever, or Wisconsin or wherever. He's got a nice little farm and he grows his fruits and vegetables and he gets his meat from the farm and he's got a beautiful, simple life. And if they decide to shut everything down on him, he's okay. He's all right. He's not masking up because he doesn't have to go into these establishments. His kid is homeschooled. He's got a beautiful family. I'm just saying that life, people are starting to see, there's freedom and peace in that life, especially when you have a matrix, a system that is increasingly powerful and increasingly wanting to take away your freedom and your ability to fend for yourself. So just think about that when you make your decisions. Also, guys, just a heads up, the women in the cities, typically the worst. The worst. The worst. Because oftentimes when you go into these small towns, there is a religious underpinning of a lot. There's a value system. There's family values. Girls are cut differently, I'm telling you. They come out with different priorities. They're taught differently. They're going to church on Sunday. They're not hanging out Saturday night in the club, hooking up with millions of guys, and then doing the walk of shame home the next day. Choose wisely. Choose wisely. You know how many times? By the way, I saw a walk of shame. No joke. I get into the elevator the other day. I'm in a apartment building now, not for long because I've had enough. I'm not wired for an apartment building, as you might imagine. I get into the elevator to go work out. The gym's downstairs. And this was, when was this? It might have been New Year's Day. Yeah, I think it was New Year's Day, or it was maybe the day before. I don't know. It was vacation. It was break. Everybody was. I get in the elevator, and there's 4 girls get onto the elevator, and they're all dressed up. It's like whatever. Say it's Sunday at like 11 a.m. But you could see the makeup's like smudged. And this is what the girl says. She says, "Oh my God, I'm still chewing my gum from last night in the club. I fell asleep and it's still in my mouth." I nearly needed a barf bag. I was like, where do I go? What do I do? I was trapped in the elevator. The other girl says, well, I at least got to wash my face because I went into the bathroom at the club and I was like, do you have face wash? And I washed my face right there. They're all wearing the clothes that they wore to the club the night before. Sequins, boobie half coming out, half in. Tall shoes. One's barefoot. The bottoms of their feet black. And I'm just thinking, wow, what would I do if I were a guy? Don't pull from that lot. I'll tell you that. Don't pull from that lot. They're all talking about, oh, yeah, I went over to this guy. And oh, my God, I can't believe I did that. Oh, honey, we know what you did. We know, based on the apparel, it was like a walk of shame. God, I'm telling you, man. All right, let's go to the World Economic Forum. And then we're going to go to the chat. So if you got stuff in the chat, come at me in just a few minutes. This is our last topic for today. World Economic Forum. Let's watch the video, shall we?
Trusted Messenger project, which was called Team Halo, where we trained scientists around the world and some doctors on TikTok. And we had TikTok working with us. And these scientists who had virtually no following to start with got verified ticks. They started bringing people in their community into their labs, into their offices, and answering their questions, engaging with them. It really took off, and many of them became kind of like national media go-to advisors.
Look at that. Messenger. Well, look at that. So the World Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum trained scientists and trained doctors to manipulate you. They trained them. They got them on TikTok. Those doctors and scientists got verified ticks, which means that you somehow thought they were held in high esteem. So I have a few questions for the World Economic Forum. Did you disclose that you had trained those particular scientists that people then in the last 2 years took advice from? Did you disclose that relationship? No, you didn't. You didn't. Sneaky. Was TikTok also working with doctors from the other side? Or was it one-sided to get your messaging across? How much were they paid to disseminate World Economic Forum talking points? And what were those talking points? Well, we know it was big pharma, Big Pharma talking points. How much were they paid? I'd be curious to know. Now, she says they became national media go-to voices. So essentially, what you had here is you had TikTok partnering with the World Economic Forum to get people into positions of prestige, doctors into positions of prestige, that you would then, as an audience, believe, oh, this person is an authority on the issue. I should listen to them. Then you turn on your TV and you're like, oh my God, that guy's also there, because now they're known as this authority on the subject. So they get asked to come do cable news or whatever. Cable news and most news outlets are also bought and sold by Big Pharma, by the way. So it's all connected. And there you are thinking you're getting some unbiased medical advice from a doctor or a scientist. In the meantime, that individual was paid in partnership with the World Economic Forum to disseminate their message. Their message. The World Economic Forum, who says that their goal is for you to have nothing and to be happy. Okay? So this is happening frequently. We've seen in the Twitter files a lot of collusion has been exposed. Somebody just did a big, look on my Twitter, I retweeted it. It's a big thread on just exposing a lot of stuff that went on with Pfizer, not related to the last 2 years. That's mind-blowing. But it's not uncommon for pharmaceutical companies to pay doctors to disseminate a message. They pay you to essentially say what they want you to say. And then you're out there thinking, oh, well, it's a doctor. They must know. No, doll, they got paid. They got paid. So what do? People say to me, well, what do you do? What do you do? I get this all the time. You have to become your own independent researcher. You have to vet this stuff. It's not easy, but your life depends on it. You have to vet it. You have to find yourself a trusted doctor that you know, that you trust, that you don't believe has been co-opted by this system, this dirty, filthy, dirty system. You have conversations with them. You get your health in order. You do what you need to do. And you don't play this game. Your health, the health of you, your family, depends on you not being a robot that eats up and swallows these, because they're very, very sneaky. And look at her with pride. Oh yeah, we partnered like it's a good thing. Did you disclose it? You didn't. Unbelievable. All right, let's go to the chat.
Okay, we have a super chat from Don. He says, Jed, the most beautiful woman on YouTube. Then we got a question from our RS. When asking an indecisive woman that says they want to go on another date, what is better, asking them when or just telling them when for the next date? FYI, we work together.
An indecisive woman? Okay, listen. How do I say it to you? If she's indecisive, she doesn't like you that much. If she's indecisive, that's your red flag number one. I'm telling you, when women like a guy, and they're talking to you, and there's like an exchange going on, that phone is so close to them, because just in case it beeps or buzzes, they want to be like, and they're all like, they cannot wait to see your face. They can't wait. Like, they will drop like their grandma's birthday to come go for a walk with you for 5 minutes. When women really like a guy, it is such a powerful energy. I really can't describe it to you. So if there is any indecision on a woman's part, where you're sensing that she's like neither here nor there, like, oh, maybe she'll go, that's your red flag. Because then is she going just to get a dinner out of it that you're going to pay for? If you sense that she's not really that into you, she's not. You need to feel as a man that she's really into you. Really into you. Because when women are really into you, we show it. We can't help it. We can't help but respond quickly. Is that we can't wait. We say, oh, I'm going to wait. 5 minutes goes by. Okay, I think that is enough. We get excited. We get really excited about liking a guy. So know that. And I hate to be the one to break it to you, but if there's indecision there, that's your red flag. I don't care how much you like her. I don't care. You're going to have a problem there. Especially if that indecision is from, if she's like, she needs to be crazy about you in the beginning. Because, life happens and relationships get complicated and challenges. Things happen in relationships that you have to sort of conquer together. But she needs to be buck wild over you in the beginning or it ain't going to work. Just saying. I had fun with that one, Dylan.
We have another one from Brad. MGTOW is men realizing that the flow of the river is headed for a cliff and choosing to step out the river. Lots of married men in this position also. We can stand up. We can't force understanding.
You have to stand up, though. I just, by the way, spilled water all over my face. I had like an incident that happened in the interim. It's like you guys went over to Delhi and there was just water everywhere. Just so you know, that's what happened. Here's my message to guys, though. Like, I don't like these dynamics that I see in marriages where men are now becoming the guys in the movie that are walked all over. So this is my concern, and I see it all the time. You know, you see the guy, the idiot in the movie, you know, he's like a little overweight and he's like afraid of his girlfriend. And too many guys are becoming that because they're thinking that's the norm, that's just how it needs to be, that happy wife, happy life that we've talked about. So there is a way to be respectful and still maintain a sense of authority. And I promise you, these guys that cave all the time and are doormats, they're not respected at all. At all. So you don't want to be them. You don't want to be them because ultimately, I'll tell you, that woman that they're with is looking right over his shoulder at a guy that would answer her back and say, no, we're not going to do that. Mm-mm. She'd be like, ooh, hee hee. They like a little bit of that resistance. We do. Okay. Any more?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. Coyote says small town women have phones, dating apps, and do their business out of town, so less people know. Some just do OnlyFans.
That's true, but if you come from a community, and that's one of the things too, I forgot that word when I was talking about Cooper. If you come from a place where there is some sense of God and family and community, I'm not saying that you can't show up in Miami and go down a different path. I'm not saying that you can't be allured by what's going on social media. But there's some foundation there, and I promise you, if you go to those places, there will be more of a pool of women who don't embrace that stuff that you don't like. It's just more of them. And I get it. In the social media age, is it harder? Yes. But those girls that are sitting in New York City also have the social media. So now they've got layers. They've got, New York City upbringing, plus the social media, plus all that. Listen, you go to a small town, you've got a girl who's got family values, community, God, and country as the foundation, and then the social media. Take your pick. I know what my pick would be if I was a guy.
Yeah, we have one more from Sticks. He says, feminists are not the issue. Women who want it are.
Women who what?
Who want it.
Who want it?
Yeah.
Who want what? Want feminism?
I guess so.
Who want the feminism? That's unclear. You need to be more clear. I don't know what you mean by that, but... you may be saying that feminism isn't the issue, but the women who, no movement. Movement has no power without people. So it's not feminism. It's the people, the stewards of that movement, the people who go out there and most of those people who led that movement that became, I think, the most toxic are probably in around the like 50 plus bracket now because they trained all the young women. People talk about toxic masculinity all the time. And they say, oh, toxic masculinity. If you ever talked about toxic femininity, there'd be an uproar. Oh my God, you're a misogynist. Because it's the complete double standard, So maybe we'll have that conversation one day too. Who knows?
Yeah, that's all.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. Friday and Monday, I will be here. I'm trying to get some guest maneuverings going on behind the scenes, just so you know. We do have, oh, by the way, no, Monday is confirmed. I have Zuby with me on Monday. Zuby's coming in, and we're going to talk about the death of masculinity and how to fix it. So you're not going to want to miss that one. Friday is the one that's kind of like, I'm trying to make something happen. Don't forget, we're coming up on 100K. Thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Let's get this baby over 100K. First 100K is always the sweetest, so they say. Thank you for being with me today, and I'll be back on Friday. See you soon.